Welcome to Python with Andrew, where we continue our journey looking at different data types. And this time we're going to look at the string again, but this time we're going to look at it as an object. And we're actually going to start talking about object-orientated programming, a term that you may have heard, and Python is an example of an object-orientated program. But what exactly is that? And equally, how does that relate to strings? So let's pop over to Visual Studio Code. And the first thing I'll say is we think of a string as just a bunch of characters within double quotes, and it is. But everything in Python is stored as an object or referred to as an object. And the best way at this early stage to think about an object is some data type or data structure, I should say more correctly, a data structure. And it has two components. It has some attributes like data elements, like characters and words and things like that. But it also has some functions that can work on those objects. So those functions in Python are called methods. So you'll hear the word object, and in an object, you'll hear the word data or attributes, and you'll also hear the word methods or functions. Okay, so at this stage, we'll talk a lot about object-oriented programming as we go along. But at this stage, the string is an object. It has a value, but it also has certain functions that work on strings. We call them methods. And the only thing that we notice it's a bit different is that a method is called differently than a normal function. So previously, I've been using this, something like this: print the length of a string hello. Okay. So in this case, we have the function length, and we call it length open bracket string. In fact, print is also a function, but we also have methods associated with string, and lots of them. In fact, probably over 40, nearly 50 different methods that we can use with strings. I'm not going to go through all of them. I've picked about 5 methods that we often use in programming. And of course, you can always refer to the reference guide if you want to look at other methods. But I've picked 5 that you can pretty well be comfortable that you will use them over and over again. But before I do, I'm going to show you by calling a function called type, and we can call the type function about any data type, numbers and in this case strings, and you'll see it tells us it's a class of string. So in Python, we have a class, which is the object orientation. Then we have objects which we create from classes. And so a string is a class, and it has a value, in this case hello, and it has methods. So if I did what's the type of 33, we would say integer. Okay, so start to think that everything is an object, whether it's a number, a string, a list, a car, whatever the object is that we're trying to describe. We'll try and program them using object-oriented programming, and the terminology in Python is class and object. So let's go on, and as I mentioned, the difference is that we write the method like this. Right, we write the variable first, or the string first, dot method, and then we do the parameters of the method. So if I run that, lower, no surprising, converts all the sentence into lowercase. Right, and that's a very, very useful one. Every time we get input from a person, we generally try and say, let's bring it to lowercase, because then we only have to test one or the other. Because the word hello if I do this, if I print the word hello, does that equal capital hello? And it does not. So that should come back as false. All right, that comes back as false because they are different strings, different, the lowercase h, the uppercase h, even though in English we know that they're the same word. So often we translate everything to lowercase just to make things a lot easier. Okay, so that's one. Another one is if we wanted to print hello dot find and find the E. This, let me clear that. This is really good when we want to find where in our string is that substring. I've used a character there and it's in position 1, remembering Python, everything starts in position 0. So H is 0, E is 1. If I change that to L, it'll be in position 2, right? And notice it gives us actually the first position, right? Not the second or third, okay? And we could also do, we could find a string and we still get 2 again because we're finding the double L, okay? If it doesn't match, let's say we wanted to find L-I-V-E, all right, see that it brings back a different number, -1, which means it did not find it. So that's very, very useful when we want to look for words in a particular sentence. It's a bit like the in operator from the last video. Another one that we can do is hello everyone dot split, and dot split brings it back as separate words, is a list of words rather than one sentence into a list of words. Incredibly powerful. We'll see that used over and over and over again, and especially as you get more and more comfortable with lists, very, very powerful. Okay, a couple more. Print. If we want to get rid of spaces, we can use dot strip. That's a very simple one to do dots strip. And the last one that's very useful is replace. I like apples. Dot replace apples with bananas. Hopefully I've got that right, my format. And that would do is, as you'd expect, changes it from I like apples to I like bananas. Okay, so there are a few quick methods that are used on the object of the string. One thing we must remember, we are bringing back a brand new string every time we're doing this. We're not modifying the existing string, we're bringing back a brand new string. In my case, printing it out. And we'll see that going forward. We don't actually change the string, we actually bring back a new string. Okay, and some of those methods had no parameters, some had 1 parameter, some had 2 parameters. We will see more and more methods, and we'll start building our own methods as we go along. As I said, strings, there are over 40 methods. You'll probably use 4 or 5 of your favorites. The rest you might see, and you might have to look up the reference for that. Okay, that's all I want to cover on strings as objects. Until we have our next session, thank you very much. And don't forget to subscribe to Python with Andrew if you're enjoying it.